I want to address these claims that things fell out of a blue sky here a few years ago. Huh? Without warning, the bulldozers came, peaceful protests, and we were living here so quietly and peacefully and stuff. It's completely idiotic. Everybody that came here would have known that none of that was, there was no peaceful thing here. And everything that has happened has only been a reaction to what has happened before. Things are a chain reaction in life. We all know that stuff. Just we have reactions to our actions. So this is the whole thing. Everything that happened in the youth center was a reaction to blockage. Imagine if I come to your house and after we have a nice chat and stuff, and I say, look, I'm not really wanting to go anymore. I'm just gonna stay here and I'm gonna be here. This is your house, you don't like me being there and you really want me to go at one point, but I'm not going. I'm very peacefully sitting on your chair or your sofa or whatever, and I'm not going anywhere. What are you going to do? I am forcing you to simply remove me physically because you don't have any other option anymore. So this is not me. If I then portray your physical removal of me from your house, if I portray that as aggression against me and as violence against me, it's very hypocritical. It's not the reality. I've decided to stay there and not move, and I have forced you into that reaction. So the exact same thing is happening here also. The government didn't wake up in 21 and decide suddenly to get involved in Auroville. It was a reaction to lots of things. Also, the government was already the owner of Auroville thanks to what happened in the 70s. And then everything, the reaction when India introduced the GST, the reaction of Auroville to the GST was clear. It was obvious. If you belong to the government, if you are a government project and you refuse to do follow government guidelines, and you just constantly are, I don't want to do this. Of course, the government one day is going to react. The Vikram Ram case very clearly put the government's nose on what was going on here. It was all long before I had ever heard of a person called Jayant Ravi that all of this was visible. You could see this coming from far away because of the actions of what was happening here. The same thing. Why was the government, why do we belong to the government? Did Mother create Auroville as a project under the government of education? No, she did not. So how did it happen? Well, it's very simple. The whole same gang with Frederick and everybody else and all the Frenchies, all of these people just in the 70s didn't want to be under the Sri Aurobindo Society. They didn't want to be here depending on the Sri Aurobindo Society for their lives. So instead of living a spiritual life, instead of living here the way Mother had asked, they started fighting over power and couldn't find any better solution in their immature thinking than to run to Delhi and ask the government to take over Auroville. That was the only real takeover back then. So once the government is in charge of Auroville, obviously you can't complain 30, 40 years later that suddenly the government is being in charge. You ask them to be in charge. It's your wish. So obviously, I really think it was a horrible move and Mother would never have approved of it. But nowadays, we have that reality that the government is in charge. Am I going to fight the government over that? Of course not. What on earth has fighting over power to do with Auroville? When we read what Mother wanted us to do, we need to lead a spiritual life. We need to surrender to the divine. All of the outer situations are just what they are. If we can influence them, we can, but if we can't, we can't. And you need to accept that and just grow inside to change the outward situations. So the whole idea that the Sri Aurobindo Society was very bad for Auroville and needed to be removed, and we needed to go to the, what has that to do with Auroville, with Mother's Auroville? Nothing. Mother said in the beginning, if stuff is not going the way it wants, just be different yourself, so you create situations outside that doesn't attract such kind of reactions and actions of other people. So this is where the whole crux of the matter lies, is that Everything has been a reaction, and the only solution is to grow beyond it, to surrender to the divine and let things happen the way they happen, and be a real Aurovillian. Be Auroville in the spiritual way, so that the outward situation will adapt to that. That's the thing that is happening now. Even whatever criticism we can have, let us grow inside and just be more and more of Mother Auroville. And then the outward situation will calm down also. If we're calm inside, the outward situation will calm down. So, Jai Ma, Jai Hind.